Hi, my name is Joel Solomon. I'm your master prosperity coach, and I am really excited to be here on the online prosperity show where we're going to be talking about acting as if, hashtag doubt the doubt. We're going to be going through many of the 9 money rules billionaires use, and we're going to give you a sneak peek into my upcoming book, Purpose and Prosperity.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And today, we have an incredible guest who will change the way you think about money and prosperity. Now, Joel, how are you doing, my man?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a extreme honor and pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much, Prosper.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. And it's only in the name that you have for your business as a master prosperity coach. Otherwise, if it wasn't that, I don't think I would have batted an eyelid. It's just me wanting to hear the sound of my own name. So thank you for making that possible for me today, Joel.
My pleasure again.
Now, for those that are watching right now, you might just be thinking, wait a minute, what are these guys going on about? Let me just take you out of your misery a little bit. Now, Joel Salomon is not your typical finance expert, all right? So calm your farm. This is not one of those, we're going to be going through your budgets and spreadsheets and things of that nature, but maybe depending on where you are in your life, that might come in handy. Now, he's got a career that spans decades. All right. And I mean more than 10 years now. He's managed a $700 million portfolio, and he's also launched his own successful hedge fund. And he's actually authored 3 best-selling books that we're going to be talking about in the show today if we get an opportunity. But Joel is not just, like I said, about numbers. He's about nurturing a mindset of gratitude, love, and service. You should have seen even the way we started talking right now. I already feel enlightened just being in his presence. Now, you can imagine when you jump into this episode what this is going to be like. And oh, I'm not just tooting his horn here, he's also an actuary. And these are the kind of people that do a lot of mathematics for insurance. And I don't even understand what that means, but hey, he's going to be letting us in on all those details. Now, I want to ask you something. Do you know the actual difference between an actuary and an accountant? And if you haven't heard those two things, you want to stick around because then you will learn a thing or two today. And an actuary, okay, if I could just try and put it, in layman terms. All right. So an actuary actually looks at his feet when he talks to you, and an accountant looks at yours. All right. So if that's painting a picture as to what the difference is, then you're in for a treat today. But trust me, Joel's got charisma in spades. So buckle up because I think this episode is going to be a masterclass in financial freedom, mindset, and maybe even a few laughs. So let's dive in. Joel, you could have stopped me, trying to give a spiel about who you are and where you've been. You could have just said, I'm here. I can do it better than you have. Take me out of my misery. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're doing as a master prosperity coach.
Well, you already told the joke about the actuary, so I think I'm pretty much done here. No, so yes, I did start my career as an actuary, and I did go through all the exams, and FSA stands for Fellow of the Society of Actuaries. And I had a dream when I was an actuary to be a money manager. And I now teach my clients how to achieve their dream. So if you're curious, if you have a dream and you're watching or listening right now, stay tuned because I'm going to help you achieve that dream. And my long road took me 20 years to achieve that dream. But I'm going to make my long road your shortcut. And how are we going to do that? So first of all, let me explain. It took me 20 years to become a hedge fund manager. And I had a lot of doubt. Everyone I asked how to get there, how do I become a money manager? They said, Joel, forget it. You don't have the background, you don't have the experience. And I teach my clients now, and I'll teach you, hashtag doubt the doubt. Have faith in your dreams. Don't have faith in your doubt. You're going to have doubts. You're an entrepreneur. You have a big dream. There's going to be times along that journey where you're going to have some doubt, but don't have faith in it. Have faith in the dream. Have persistence and continue to follow through. And I had a lot of stumbling blocks along those 20 years, but I finally achieved the dream. I had my own company as a hedge fund manager. And if you had asked me in 2013, when I achieved that dream, what are you going to be doing in 2024? I would have told you hedge fund manager. But something interesting happened in December of 2015. I went to a personal development course, and there was a guy there pitching stock options as the only way to get rich. He said, you don't need much time, you don't need much money. This is how the rich people get rich, and options are essentially risk-free. And you may have gone to a similar personal development course. You may have gone to a seminar where somebody told you, this is the way, this is the only way to do it. Well, I was sick to my stomach. It was day 2 of the conference. I had people tapping me on the shoulder, whispering in my ear, Joel, does this make sense? Are options really risk-free? And so after the guy was done, he was an hour-long guest speaker. We went out of the auditorium. I told him, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually. And most importantly, he has no idea about your belief that you're going to become rich using options. Belief is critical. And I teach belief, which is rule number 1 in the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, my second book. So I went home that night and I couldn't sleep. The guy was in my head, and I realized if I could ever get up the courage to speak on a stage, see, my biggest fear that day was public speaking. I could be authentic, tell people the truth about money, and be of service to them. And at 4:30 in the morning, it hit me, and I jumped out of bed. I quickly got dressed. I was in my office in Midtown Manhattan at 54th and 6th Avenue before the sun rose, and I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Teaching people the truth about money. Teaching people that belief is critical, and there's many, many ways to become financially free. It's not just stock options. It could be, but for most people, it won't be. I'd say 5 out of the 200 people in the room might become rich using options, but it could be real estate. It could be your business. It could be stocks. It could be crypto. There's many, many ways. Maybe it's the lottery. I don't advocate that, but there's many ways to become rich and successful and abundant and prosperous. And so I literally went into my office that day, shut down the hedge fund, although logistically it took a very long time. It took almost all of 2016 to do that. And yeah, so now I am a prosperity coach. I call myself a master prosperity coach, and I teach people the truth about money. And the most important thing, which Prosper and I were talking about before the show started, is your mindset. You may have, whether you know it or not, and I will say to you, if you're not where you want to be in terms of prosperity and abundance and wealth, it's more likely than not that there are some limiting beliefs around money. And what I do and what I can do for you is teach you how to make those limiting beliefs empowering beliefs. Because I had to go through the same thing. I had to overcome my doubts. I had to overcome those limiting beliefs that, can I really become a hedge fund manager? How can that be done without decades of experience and an MBA in finance? Well, by the way, I never got the MBA in finance, and I never had the decades of experience. So what limiting beliefs are you being told I was on a call today with a woman who told me, I'm 57. It's too late for me, isn't it? How can I become rich? How can I do my dream now? Well, that's a limiting belief, isn't it? I
Mm,
believe you're never too old. The guy who started Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, he didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 60 years old. I don't believe it's ever too late to start. Start now.
absolutely. Wow. I like this. And thank you so much, Joel, for taking us through this detailed tale of how you got by. And what I think you've just done in a space of 2 to 3 minutes is you've liberated people from the anxiety of dealing with money, because what you have explained is there are so many different ways that people can actually be prosperous. You mentioned stock options, real estate, business. So it means that people need to start by identifying who they are in order to then plug themselves to a vehicle that suits them. And maybe so many people have been plugging themselves when they are a round plug in a square hole.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think the pandemic really highlighted the fact that a lot of people are not doing what they love and are living paycheck to paycheck, despite the fact that they believe that they have to have a job and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So why not do what you love? In fact, right now I'm in the midst of writing a book called Purpose and Prosperity with a purpose coach, because we truly believe that when you're doing your why, you're doing your purpose, that you're much more likely to become prosperous. So yeah, I truly believe during the pandemic, a lot of people realized, wait, I could get laid off in this job, even though I've been dedicated to it. I've been loyal. You might have been working at a restaurant or a bar or a hotel and the business shut down and they laid them off and they
Mm,
never came back. It's a very large hotel in Midtown Manhattan called the Roosevelt Hotel that I used to frequent right after I shut down my hedge fund. And I'd go there for coffee or a drink, meet potential clients. Hundreds and hundreds of rooms in that hotel, and it never came back. So all the people who worked there were laid off. And they were loyal. They worked, I remember talking with a guy there. He worked there for 20 years. He thought he had stability. And so that even at companies, people realize, oh, wait, I thought I was secure. You're not secure. So why don't you take the shot and do what you came here to do and live the dream? Try. And I'm not saying do it without a safety net. Like hopefully you have some savings. And there's other ways to do it too. You could start a side gig. Do an hour a day. Start with an hour a day doing what you love. You don't have to quit like I did. Whole cold turkey, quit my hedge fund and then start this without any income. I'm not recommending that to the world unless you are like, okay, I know I can generate income from this business quickly. So, yes, I truly believe that you can do what you love and make a lot of money doing it. And I'm one example of that, but I know a lot of people who are entrepreneurs doing what they love and are really happy.
absolutely. And thank you so much for going through that. And I think you raise a very essential point there, about the pandemic. Not only did it obviously take away stability for a lot of people, but I think the pandemic was there to showcase, especially to people that were told that their jobs were non-essential, that what they were doing all this time nobody needed. Because if you look at what happened in Melbourne, we were shut down for about 2 years. And if nobody needs what you wake up to do every single day for 2 years, then that means that thing is not needed. All right. So, it's just one of those things that was a reality check for a lot of people. And I'm glad you're writing a book, Purpose and Prosperity. And guess what happens then, Joel? You've actually just committed the ultimate sin. You do not mention a new book coming up and not have to pledge to come back and talk about it on the Online Prosperity Show, especially if it contains the words prosperity in it. So there you go. Now,
I will commit right here, right now, to anyone watching or listening that within the next year, I'll be back to talk with my co-author, Jackie Roberge, to talk about purpose and prosperity.
there you go. Fantastic. Now, there's one thing that you keep bringing about, because fish do not see the water that they swim in, and neither can people see the air that they breathe. Money mindsets. Could you maybe put them out in the open so that we can explore what these are? Because I don't think a lot of people have an understanding of what that means from the get-go.
Great question. And it's true. So what I actually have my potential clients do a financial freedom survey. And in the financial freedom survey, I ask them to check if these statements are true or false. For example, do you believe you can be spiritual and rich? Do you believe that you have to work really, really hard to be rich and successful? Do you believe rich people are criminals? Do you believe that if you work really, really hard, you must become prosperous? Do you believe the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? And by answering true or false, you're creating a characterization of your beliefs, which may or may not be serving you. And on this call I was on today with this woman I was telling you about earlier, she said to me that you need to work really, really hard to be rich and successful. That's what I was taught growing up. And I was taught that too. And my parents taught me, and my grandparents told my parents, and my great-grandparents taught my grandparents. And I will tell you, it's a limiting belief. And so what statements are you making to yourself in your thoughts? And what statements are you making out loud? And question them. Is this limiting me or empowering me? If I say I'm in my 50s and it's probably too late for me to do my dream, is that empowering you or limiting you? If you're saying that I have to work really, really hard, I got to work 70 hours a week, and I'm older now and I don't have the time, I don't really want to put in 70 hours, so therefore I can't get rich. Is that a limiting statement or empowering statement? Check yourself. I'm going to try to do this. Is that empowering or limiting? I will say there's either do or not do. There's no try. I'm putting this pen down. Did I try to do it or did I do it? So I highly recommend checking yourself on your money beliefs. Do you believe that the stock market is rigged? I literally had somebody tell me the stock. In fact, I had somebody on a networking call just last week tell me, get ready, it's going down. He told me that last year too, when we talked. He is a believer that you shouldn't put any money in the stock market. Now, I will tell you, check your beliefs. Is that limiting or empowering? And you could say the same thing about every investment opportunity out there. There will be people who will be doubters. And yet one of my clients made 80% using my 5-step stock screen process in the last 3 months.
Mm.
If she was doubting the process or doubting that anyone could make money in the last 90 days in the stock market, she would have almost doubled her money. So check yourself.
I like that. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Now, Joel, there's something that happens in our society. All right. I think I grew up knowing or hearing the statement that empty vessels make the loudest noise, or the seats in the cheap section is where the biggest cheering or booing is. The problem is a lot of people that have made it don't send the elevator down to showcase to people that, hey, I crossed the path. I did real estate, or I bought stock options, or I started a business and I didn't die. Whereas a lot of people that are amongst us are the people that have had a bad experience, that have gone through or gotten bad advice, and eventually they're the ones that are screaming at the top of their lungs about how bad the situation is, and the media is not helping at all. Maybe you could elaborate on that, or maybe if there's something that you've got in store that people can actually have a lookout for, especially when it comes to things like that.
Yes, great analysis and question there, because you get to choose every day, all day, your thoughts, and you get to choose how you're going to interact with the world. And you can binge on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat, or you could spend more time binging on Prosper's show. Which do you think is serving you? Which do you think is serving your mind, your money mindset? And I think you also get to choose whether you live in faith or fear all day, every day. And to me, it was a bright light during the pandemic. I actually talked to a guy in September of 2020. Now, here in the US, you were nobody was telling you to stay inside 24/7. I think it's important to get some fresh air. And he told me how he had not gotten outside since the warning in March of 2020. He literally was staying inside for 6 months. Now, is he living in faith or fear? He's worried that he's gonna walk outside and get sick and die. Now, there is some probability that would happen, but I think the probability of him staying inside and not getting some vitamin D and some sunlight is just as risky, if not more. And so, anyway, the point is, how are you living? Are you living in fear or faith? And when it comes to money. And in my last book, Infinite Love and Money, we created 7 money personality types. The way to remember the 7 money personality types is sugar pie. The acronym is sugar pie. I don't know if you've ever had a sugar pie, but people in the south of US enjoy them a lot. And so sugar pie S stands for splurgers, U for the unconscious ones. And we made the names provocative, but they are indicative of the characteristics of these people. So S for splurger, U for unconscious, G for greedy, A for accumulator or saver, and then pi, P for the protectionist, I for an investor, and E for the egotist. And I have a survey that is in the book, and if anybody wants to have the survey, I'll send it to them. And you can fill it out. It's just circling adjectives, and then you determine which one you are. Now, most people believe that being a saver, being the accumulator is a good thing. But I will tell you, Prosper, that money is just energy. Money is just energy. And by doing this, hoarding it, saving it only, and not allowing it to flow, you're not allowing it to flow so that it can't flow back to you if you're doing this. Think about a relationship and you can't hug somebody if you're like this. If you're protecting yourself, but if you're always worried that the other person, you're jealous of the other person, not allowing the person to flow and do their thing, that's not good for the relationship. Well, it's not, you have a relationship with money, whether you know it or not. And if you're hoarding it, if you're like keeping it under the couch and not putting it in the bank, then it's not in flow. And just like a person, money's not going to want you to do this. Just keep it really tight here. And you're not allowed to go outside. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. That's not serving you or money. So it's a little controversial, but I'll say just saving and not investing. Rule number 6 in the 9 money rules is giving. If you're just hoarding and saving and not giving and not splurging and not investing, money's not going to enjoy being with you.
Absolutely. That's why it's called a currency, because it has to be, like a river, water current. It has to be going through, from point A to point B, or an electric current, it has to continuously flow in order for a light to actually go on. Now, I was just thinking to myself, how you were saying holding and cocooning somebody's money and never letting go, can you imagine if you do that to a person? They'll call the cops on you. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people that maybe hold on to money or whatever it is, the cops are usually nearby, just finding out, hey, you let that money go and put it into circulation or things of that nature. Now, I grew up in a world where we were Christian, so I'm hoping my views are not going to taint anybody else's religion or whatever. But we were told that love is not love until you give it away. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things that if you love something, you let it go, and if it comes back to you, you know what I mean, then definitely it was meant for you. Are you saying that, because based on what you're saying, the true foundation of wealth is just a mindset of gratitude, love, and then service? Maybe you can explain to us how you actually incorporate all these values in the coaching that you're doing with the people.
Yeah, rule number 5 in the 9 money rules is gratitude. And I talk about money as energy. I also talk about frequency and vibration in the book, and in Infinite Love and Money as well. And so I say there's a frequency and vibration for abundance and prosperity. And if you're vibrating down here in sadness, depression, worry, fear, that's a low level vibration. As opposed to being up here in appreciation and gratitude and joy and love and passion, that high level frequency is the same frequency as abundance and prosperity. So that's why I say being grateful like that. So rule number 5, we talk about creating a gratitude journal. Every morning, write down at least 3 things you're grateful for, and every night, write down at least 3 things you're grateful for. And Dr. Seligman, out of a university here in the US, did a study 20 years ago, and he connected electrodes to the brain synapses of his college students at the beginning of the month, and then he had them write in the gratitude journal and why they were grateful for 30 days. And then at the end, he connected the electrodes again to the synapses. And in the areas of happiness, the brain synapses expanded. So when you're more grateful, you become more happy. And remember, happiness and joy is one of the highest levels of frequency and vibration, which is equivalent to abundance and prosperity. And by the way, rule number 3 in the 9 money rules is, can happiness buy you money? Not can money buy you happiness, can happiness buy you money? So gratitude, yes, that's critical. I say, look, it doesn't mean you can't strive for more, but be grateful for what you have now and still want more, still strive for more. But if you're not grateful for what you have, I will tell you, anyone who's listening right now, you're living the dream life of billions of people on earth right now.
Hmm.
They would love to trade places with you, even for 24 hours.
Could you just repeat that just for my little girls? Because I know they're going to be watching this a little bit later on. Just repeat that again.
You are living the dream life of billions of people on this earth. And we don't think about that on a daily basis, right? You get 3 meals a day, you're fully clothed, you have a roof over your head, you get to read and write and go to school, and you have more than enough. If you're watching this, you have more than enough. And so that could be one thing you're grateful for, writing down in the morning, I have more than enough. I don't like to compare to others. I wouldn't be grateful and say like I have more than, but you know, simple things like I'm grateful for being on the prosperity show today. And I'm able to help more people. I was able to get on, I give a free 30 minutes prosperity coaching call to anyone listening today. And I was able to give one today, and it just lit up my heart. You know, that I'm grateful for having the time to do that. So you know, what can you be grateful for and still strive for more? So that's really important. And then, you know, love is again the highest vibration. So if you're living in love, if you're putting it out there, then that vibration is a very high vibration, and you're creating abundance and prosperity through that. So be joyous, be happy, be passionate, be appreciative and grateful, and watch the abundance flow into your life.
I like that. I like that. And I like how all of these things elevate you so that you are, meeting the, the abundance at the level at which it is, because everything, sort of floats, like you say, at a higher level. And one thing that you just made me realize is this video is going to be playing for a very long time. I joked about you saying that to repeat it for my girls, but I know they'll be watching this maybe later on, or anybody else in 2058 probably watching this, and it will still ring true. And the fact that they just stumbled and are watching this video right now, it doesn't mean that this video is not playing anywhere else. It's just that your frequency met up with this message at this particular time. This video is playing 24/7 somewhere. You just hadn't come across it. And that alone just showcases you that we're talking on Zoom right now, on, prosperity coaching. Some people are probably discussing certain things, but they're not connected to our channel. That's why they're not in this particular room. So if you really want to, perambulate or fly at that level, you need to have that certain frequency. And speaking of flying, you mentioned something that's really crucial here, which is giving. I just was on a flight last weekend, and the lady called me up, and then they said your luggage is exceeding with 7 grams. Is there something that you can take out from there? And I just realized that it was a couple of things that I'd gotten, and I was like, hey, if I can hold these in my hand while we go, it was a couple of things that I could actually hold. And then they're like, oh, that's fine, but it still is that same weight. And what I did was, I went in and I gave those things to a security guard who was standing next to me, and he was very grateful. And I came back and they weighed my bag again, and it was fantastic. So what that really tells me is, it will cost you much if you're traveling heavy. So in this flight of life, if you're carrying heavy things, just give it away. And the more you give away, the more you actually will be able to then fly and coast through in life. Which brings me to one of the strategies that you use, which is, I think it's called act as if, because I think if you can't put yourself in that mood or in that situation, you might as well just act as if. Maybe can you break down this concept so that the person who's watching this can see how it can actually transform their financial lives?
I love to. I just want to expand on your giving point, rule number 6 in the 9 money rules first. John Templeton, Sir John Templeton, some say was the best investor of all time. And he started the Templeton funds in the 1950s with just a few $1,000s, and he sold the Templeton funds to the Franklin Mutual Fund in 1990 for almost $1 billion. And he said he hadn't met anybody who had, in over a 10-year period, give at least 10% of their earnings to a charity, who didn't have massively more wealth at the end of the 10 years than at the beginning. How does that happen? Well, like we talked about earlier, money is just energy. And by putting that flow out there, I found in my life, and John obviously found it in his life and all the people that he interacted with, that it came back in multiples. And so find a favorite charitable organization. I created my own Solomore Charitable Giving to teach financial literacy to kids. Start your own if you want to. But find one that you can give to. If you're an entrepreneur, give a set amount every month. And if you make more than 10 times that, then give even more. But it's a powerful, powerful technique. And I teach my clients that when you're most feeling in lack or scarcity, give. Because there's someone out there on this earth that is less fortunate than you, no matter how worried or fearful you are about your situation. So that's a powerful technique. So let's talk about acting as if. This is another part of the conversation I had with this woman earlier today, because when you're worried, you're fearful, when the physical reality doesn't seem to be going your way, it probably is, but it's hard to see it. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you haven't generated any income in a few weeks, or you're shifting to a new business and it's just starting and the revenues haven't flowed in yet. Acting as if is a powerful technique. Dorothea Brand said, act as if it is impossible to fail. Imagine living your life that way. Act as if it's impossible to fail. What I mean by acting as if is doing things, putting things into practice, pretending. So you're starting a new business. You have a dream for it to generate $1 million Aussie of after-tax earnings each year. That's your goal. I wouldn't put a deadline on it, but that's the goal. So how could you act as if that's actually happening right now? Think about what you would do. Maybe you would start your own charity or foundation. Start doing the research, set it up. Figure out what the tax authority would require from you to do that. What else can you do? If you were generating $1 million Aussie dollars a year, would you be planning a vacation to Bora Bora, Tahiti, or Fiji for a month, 5-star all the way? Well, if that's what you would do, then research it now. Check out what the cost of the flight would be. Maybe check out how much frequent flyer miles you would need. Check out the hotels, what the investment would be in the hotels. Check out the excursions. Do it all. Price it all out. Check it all out. Check out when's the best time of year to go. Maybe you would buy that new blue convertible Maserati Gran Turismo that goes from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and has a 454 horsepower semi-autonomous. Check it out. Go online, maybe even go to the showroom and test drive it. Smell it, get the feel of it, hear it. And the other thing you could do is visualize the dream. Okay, you have a business that's generating at least $1 million Aussie dollars a year. What would the infrastructure of the business look like? How many people would you have working for you? Who would be doing what? Maybe even do a flow chart and put in boxes. Okay, I have head of sales. I have the head of marketing. I have head of investments. I have head of technology. And maybe even start researching who would be the best people. You want, the best athletes for each position. Maybe you start even pretending and interviewing people for these positions as if you're about to have that large business. So a lot of these things don't cost any money, right? You're doing the research. You're kicking the tires, literally, of the Maserati. And it's a powerful technique, very powerful technique, because you're saying to the universe, or source energy, or God, or whatever you want to call it, it's about to happen. I'm ready. I'm setting it all up. There's a woman here in the States who started a real estate company, Barbara Corcoran. And yeah, so you've heard of her. So she visualized having, this is before she actually started the business 30 years ago. Maybe it was 40 years ago. She visualized having her business sold for $100 million. She visualized that every day for years. She barely had a business. She barely had an office. She barely had people. It wasn't generating much. But she did that for years. And about 15 years ago, she sold her business for $150 million. She took a picture of the ATM because she went to the ATM and it had, 9 figures. And she took a picture of it and she called her parents, who said, and she had told the story. It happened. I visualized this and it's reality. Visualizing is a very powerful technique.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for bringing those stories. Like I said, representation matters. When you see it, it makes it easy for you to then say, you know what, I too can be, do, and have that particular, thing. But I love the statement that you've got. And I think you mentioned it right at the get-go, but you just, spoke about it in passing. I just wanted to bring it back a little bit. Hashtag doubt the doubt. I mean, the millennial in me is already going, oh, okay, it's probably a hashtag that I need to be aware of, because every other hashtag has to pass through my desk and have to assess if it's aligned with me or the current thing. But doubt the doubt. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about this concept and how it actually helps your clients overcome financial fears they might be having?
Yeah, it's a powerful technique. And so check yourself. What doubts do you have about your business, about yourself, about your relationships, about your body, about your career? And why do you have faith in the doubt? I play tennis a lot, and my partner who I'm playing against, he tends to have faith in the doubt. When he starts playing poorly, he starts screaming at himself, sometimes cursing and saying something like, you're getting too old. That's having faith in the doubt. Why not flip it and have faith in the dream and say, I started this business, or I want to start this business, because I am here to serve others. My mission is to help at least 100,000 people become financially free. And that's my one thing. If I can help somebody every day on towards that, move towards financial freedom, that floats my boat. That makes me so ecstatic and happy. So what can you do in your business to move towards your one thing and not doubt yourself, even if you haven't made any money that day? That's okay. Because if you still have faith in the dream as opposed to have faith in the doubt, the universe is gonna support you. I say take baby steps in the direction of your dreams. And the universe has 100-mile-an-hour, 100-kilometer-per-hour wind blowing behind you. So keep on moving in the direction of the dream and know that you don't have to take massive leaps forward. Take small little baby steps and things will move forward.
Absolutely. It's not necessarily what am I getting, it's who am I becoming in the grand scheme of things. And I'm a big fan of tennis as well. And while you were talking, I just realized that no matter what, even if you're losing tennis, you're starting from a point of love. And it's just one of those things that at any given moment, there's that gratitude just comes in and you just keep serving whichever way you can up until you hit a grand slam. And is that what you take people through in your Money Miracles membership program? Do we play tennis or what happens? Can you tell us a little bit more about how this actually helps people achieve their financial goals?
Thank you for the question, Prosper. Yes, so the Money Miracles membership is a beautiful community of individuals who are all like-minded, moving towards their dreams. And so we support each other. I learn from them as much as they learn from me. We have a weekly call. I've recorded videos, and the idea is to move them from wherever they are towards financial freedom as quickly as possible. So there's specific techniques like acting as if, and we go through each of the 9 money rules, and we have exercises in those attached to each of the videos that they watch. And then after they watch the video, we have a weekly call, and they can ask me anything related to mindset or manifestation. I go through 9 powerful manifestation techniques. And then I teach investing, real estate, stocks, business, whatever people are interested in learning about. Because again, I believe that everyone is unique and you can become rich many different ways. So let's go through. And it's going to resonate with other people in the community if you have a question. So ask the question and it'll get answered. And what's mind-blowing to me is I teach the money manifestation techniques, and yet it's still mind-blowing to me that members have manifested over 1,963,000 US dollars in the last 2.5 years, over 1,963,000 US dollars. And if you had told me 2.5 years ago when I started the membership, this was happening, I would have said, you're high, come on, how? And the interesting thing is I teach, don't get bogged down in the cursed hows. You don't need to know how the money's going to flow. Just, you mentioned be, do, have. And I teach a lot of doing, but I also teach a lot of being. How can you be abundant? How can you act abundant today? And I had an early client, and we met in Manhattan at the Waldorf Astoria. Just to be in the environment of abundance, the average room there was $1,000 US a night. Just to be in that room, and this was 7 years ago. Be in the environment of prosperity and abundance. When you're being abundant, it's not about the doing all the time, it's about the being, right? Be, do, have. So first it's about being, and then you can do. But it shouldn't be this kind of white knuckling. It should be in flow. It should be fun. It should be gratitude. And it should be a game, right? Acting as if, pretending, daydream on purpose, play the games. And I was teaching my Money Miracles membership members today. We have a Tuesday call. And I was teaching them the way you play the money manifestation game is with childlike curiosity. It's not like I got to do this technique so that I can manifest the money because I really need the money right now. No, it's what if I visualize today or I visualize for the next 30 days? Let's see what happens. What if I visualize and journal and I pretend my notebook is a magic notebook. And whenever I write in the notebook comes true. Let's play the game and see. Let's just have childlike curiosity. I'm playing the game of life. I'm playing Monopoly. I'm playing Uno, the card game. Let's just have fun, play the game with childlike curiosity and see if it works. Let's just try for 30 days. We're doing it. We're not trying. We're doing it. And then let it go.
I like that. And what would be the best way that people can get started on this program that you have, the membership?
So I suggest reaching out to me and doing a free 30-minute prosperity call because I want to, we want to make sure it's a good fit. And I don't accept everybody into the membership, to be open with you, Prosper. It's got to be a good fit for the community. They have to be at the right stage in their life. And there's 3 questions I ask every person who joins the membership. So if you're watching now, answer this for yourself. Are you coachable? Are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? And most importantly, are you willing to put in the time, money, and energy into the program for it to be a success? Because if you can't answer all those 3 questions with a hell yes, then it's a heck no. I want you to come in with, I'm going to make a difference for myself because I want you to succeed. I'm not a success unless you're successful.
I quite like that because then obviously, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together. And I think that's exactly what it is that you're bringing to the table here. I will be putting all the links that lead to you, the books, the website, and any other particulars that you've given us. Now, I think you've given us a mastermind or a masterclass in just dealing with finances and everything else that comes along with this. If there would be just one thing you would want the listener to just wrap their head around, what would be that one thing?
Believe in yourself. I sign my signature and I end every video I do with I believe in you. And I do. I believe if you're watching this, I truly believe in you.
Wow. I think that's an amazing, because so many people don't have people that have that belief in them. And if somebody is listening to this right now, they can literally borrow your belief in them so they could prop themselves until their belief in themselves has culminated. Now, there's one thing that you haven't done. You haven't collected a shot glass from Melbourne. And I'm not sure if I should send you one or you should actually come and pick one up yourself. Tell us what's in store, for the Master Prosperity Coach moving forward.
Yes, I have not it is true. I have not traveled to Melbourne. I have been to Sydney. I have been to the Great Barrier Reef. I have been to, I don't think they call it Ayers Rock anymore, but I have been there. But Melbourne didn't get on the list when I was there. So I've been to over 60 countries. I have over 150 shot glasses from every country and town I've been to across the world. So yes, I don't, it's interesting because I just had a pretty large trip. I went to Bora Bora and Tahiti about 6 weeks ago. So nothing really planned. The big plan is to move my daughters into college in 2 months. My youngest daughter is graduating from high school this week, and she moves into Colgate University in about 2 months. So that's those are the big moves for August, and we'll see. I don't have anything specific, so maybe Australia next year. I do want to go to Antarctica. I do want to go to China, Singapore, and a few islands. But yeah, I've only been to 60. There's 150 other countries I need to get to.
Fantastic. Well, Joel, I can't thank you enough for your wisdom and insights that you've shared with us today, and the fact that you're going to be coming back again on the Online Prosperity Show so that we can launch your Purpose and Prosperity book already makes me very, very excited of that which is about to come. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Again, my honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, your journey is truly inspiring, and I'm sure our visitors have actually gained quite a lot of valuable takeaways from this. And for those that are watching, thank you so much for coming this far. And I think if you want to learn a little bit more about Joel and his work, I will definitely put the links in the description. Make sure to check those out. And while you're there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode filled with insights and strategies that will literally help you prosper. And there's one thing that I might actually ask from you personally. Maybe you're not going through money problems or things like that, but your mom, sister, brother, auntie might. And they probably just asked you to Venmo them a bit of cash just so they could get by. And, you can't do that again next month. So, in the words of the wise, don't give a man a fish, teach them how to fish. This video might actually be that teaching them to fish. Send it to them because you never know what it is that might come out of this. They might learn how to master their own money mindset and to actually be, do, and have a happier existence. And if you don't know what to say, just use Joel's words and say, hey, sister, hey, brother, I believe in you. And I hope that this video will definitely be that thing that will help them act as if so that they too can literally master their money mindset. Thank you for watching and see you next time on the Online Prosperity Show. Now, Joe, you have to say it again.
I believe in
Fantastic. Bye for now.